Hi, welcome to another video. This one's going to be slightly different because I'm just going to go for a walk and hopefully you'll come along with me. So my task or mission, if I choose to accept it, and why wouldn't I, because you know it's always good to go for a walk, is to walk along the marine parade at Dover. It looks like this. We've got this weird cloud inversion coming in off the channel, so we can barely see the cranes, we can barely see the marina, but I'm going to walk along the front of the marine parade where the seafront is. Maybe the clouds will lift by then. You never know. I'm also, oh yeah, and I ultimately want to get up here to the White Cliffs, maybe have a coffee and a cake. Also, I'm relying only on my GoPro today, so this is the setup. I've got my little grabby yellow thing and the camera sitting on top, and I'm relying 100% on the inbuilt microphone of this GoPro because it doesn't have its own, you know, external mic. I think I could have got a lavalier lapel mic. Anyway, to start, we've got to get down there, haven't we? Because I want to start at the bottom. Where that marina is used to be the hover port for the hovercrafts. So yeah, we'll go and have a look. We'll start there, we'll make our way along the marine parade, eventually get up to the White Cliffs and have that nice coffee. So let's get down there. And just like that, I'm down here. Moments ago I was stood up there. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Right up on the top there. But I thought I would start here because we've got the edge of the old marina just here, which is still in use, and it looks, you know, quite a marina. The entrance is just on the right here, but across the road used to be the other side of it, and look, they've reclaimed it. They're actually going to turn it into complexes and things. So Dover's definitely getting a rejuvenation, but the mist has not cleared, it's still here. So what we'll do, we'll start at the Clock Tower Square, just have a look at how they've regenerated it, because that's where they used to have the hover port, you know, the big hovercrafts that used to 30 minutes across the channel, and I think that all stopped when was it the competition from the Eurostar, you know, from the Channel Tunnel, or was it the fact that duty free was cancelled? It just made it unviable. But actually going across the channel on the ferry, I think, is more fun because you get an hour and a half to relax and explore the ship. Anyway, the clock tower, I love this. They used to have a big propeller from one of the hovercraft, but now they've kind of replaced it with this anchor thing going on, but they've turned the edge of the clock tower into a little cafe. Way back when I first came to Kent, they had what was then known as the Prince of Wales Pier, and you could walk all the way to the end looking at the hovercraft on your right as you walked along, and they had a cafe at the end there. No cafe at the end now, so they've obviously turned this into a cafe. But this looks lovely, what they've done. And I appreciate that they've left the clock tower, but they're bringing in these kind of Victorian lamps to make it look all, you know, nostalgic. I wonder what they did with the big propeller. A couple of cafes. Information board, let's have a quick read. Welcome to the Clock Tower Square. The port has been constantly evolving to meet the needs of future generations, and today is no different. Just as the clock tower, built 1876-7, and the adjacent lifeboat house, built 1866, had to move from their original location. Prince of Wales Pier, I was right. You would walk down there and there'd be a cafe. I think it was hit numerous times, and so it had to be demolished and then replaced. Oh look, the gates. So actually, learn something new every day. They are the original gates to the entrance to the Prince of Wales Pier. I've actually got a little bit of information here about the original pier. The first stone of this new harbour was laid by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales KG. Let me know in the comments, what does that mean? 20th of July 1893. Look at this. The fact that they've still got these old Victorian gates. What a great thing to hold on to. With the clock tower in the background. I think that looks lovely, doesn't it? Could be the thumbnail shot. So I'm tempted to walk down there, but there's nothing down there other than a section for commercial loading of tankers and the like. The commercial port for the cruise liners is the other side of that fence. So I guess it's a customs type thing. And when you're doing a cruise, you don't really want the general public just walking in and out, do you? So, but the new pier was built a couple of years ago, and it took them so long to actually fill all the berths. I remember seeing this with no boats at all. Fascinating. So I'm not going to walk there, but I am going to walk down that pier there. So what I thought I would do is a little experiment with this video. We see other people doing their videos and we get inspired, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I saw a video that had a bit of music and just 4 second or 4 beats to the bar. Do, 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 change, do, 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 change. That kind of thing. So I'm going to capture footage till I get to the end of the pier and then we will resume. So cue music. And then we make it to the end. It's a lovely walk actually. I'm not sure the length, I'll put it on screen. Obviously you've got to walk it twice because you get from the one end to this end and then you've got to go back again, haven't you? But I think it's a great little walkway and it replaces the original Prince of Wales Pier. I don't know what this one is called. It may be the new Prince of Wales Pier. It may also be called the Pier thingy. So I'll put it on screen if it is called the Prince of Wales Pier, but if it isn't, it may not have a name. But if you have a mind to, you can watch the boats. Got the RNLI lifeboat over there, look. Got this Stella Maris sailing boat. I do believe they have to request permission to enter and exit the harbour, but he seems to be just manoeuvring. I hope you're going to turn, mate. Oh, nice bit of manoeuvring. He's got his little engine going. Get the girl to throw the wire on, or the woman. And that's it. We are moored up. Maybe he's waiting for a berth. So yeah, the original walkway came from where the marine office is there, just about here, and you had the clock tower, so that was the entrance into where the hoverport was, and it kind of came down on a slope. I never saw the hovercraft flying taking off. What were they? Hovering. Now there is excellent footage of Top Gear where they did the challenge, didn't they? And they had to drive car boats across the channel, and they actually used the ramp. So a little clip here.
You're coming back now. It's a car again. Oh, centreboard. Hey, he's got no rudder. He's got no rudder in the water. Oh yeah.
And I remember walking along the old pier with the big Stena Line catamaran type things. Picture on screen. That mist hasn't lifted. And it is a sea mist. We've got the tugs, which obviously are not doing much today, but they are used for guiding in the cruise liners. Channel 4, at the moment that I'm recording this video, have got a series about Dover Port, one of the busiest channel ports in Britain, certainly for passengers, and the ferries make it so, don't they? You can watch it on catch up as well, and I think that's what's inspired me to do this little walk. So I'm going to get back to the end of the pier, and then we'll start proper, walk along the promenade. There are a few interesting bits and bobs to look at, and look how green the water is, it's lovely. And then we will go up the cliff and get to the White Cliffs of Dover, because I fancy a coffee and I fancy maybe a piece of cake. What do you reckon? Anyway, get to the end here. Yay, I made it to the end. Now we've got the Dover Sea Sports Centre there, and you can see all the canoes and everything inside. Canoes, kayaks, what are these? Rowing boats? When you're not in the know, it's that old thing, if you know, you know. Well, I don't know. Drop me a comment. But we do have people gathering, so Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, what are we now? 11:15. It's all about to kick off. Maybe that mist will clear. I'm not seeing any ferries at the moment, but I am hearing foghorns. It's been a long time since I heard foghorns. But it does, it looks like fun, doesn't it? Activity. Right, let's get to the other side of this. Oh, there's a restaurant and bar. So if you're into fishy food, seafood is what I'm thinking. I can't handle it myself because the gag reflex kicks in. Hey ho. Don't mind a bit of cod though. Haddock and tuna. I can work with those three. Don't give me anything that's got little twitchy things on them. Crab. Lobster. Oyster. Alright, you don't need to hear this. Let's go and have a look at the Marine Parade, which starts here. Because we come out onto Wellington Terrace. And look at that, isn't it wonderful? It's that old Victorian. You know, when the nation started realising, it was probably the 1800s, probably the Georgian era to be quite honest, that you could come to the coast for a break or a holiday. And so they built all of these wonderful buildings, hotels, to attract the clientele. I understand that they're mostly private houses now, but there are a couple of restaurants and hotels along the parade. I was going to overlay some pictures, but actually there's quite a few billboards and notice boards, information boards along the route, so we'll take a look at those. Fancy a takeaway pizza? Definitely, as long as it's not fishy. Where are all these people coming from? There's a big parade of touristy type folk. I'm confused. Maybe they've come off the ferry for the day. Right, the first of the signs. Let's have a look here. Seasonal swim zone buoys in place from April to October. They're the seasonal designated swim zone, so you can get in. Restricted area. Where's the walkway? We've just walked along this pier, so that's all where the marina and the boats are. And here's the harbour entrance here, and that's where the ferries come in, and the eastern docks. I'm half tempted, but you know, I'm going to save myself for getting up on the top of the cliff. Sorry. People, happiness. It's great stuff. Love the design of the lights. They look lovely with the blue sky. And then when you look over there, you've still got the sea mist coming in, completely shrouding the castle. I don't know if I'll even get to show you it. So yeah, they've got these lovely promenades. It does look lovely, doesn't it? Nice little rest areas dotted along, and these curvy things. So of course, through history, Dover has had quite a lot of conflict. You know, 1066, Norman conquest, and they settled up on Dover Castle. You always think of World War II, but certainly World War I as well. So there are quite a few memorials and statues along here. So we'll take a look at a few of them, and the first one's here. This is the Dunkirk Memorial, Dunkirk 1940. It says the Dunkirk Veterans Association. This memorial was erected on the 16th of August 75, the 35th anniversary of the Battle of Dunkirk. This one looks new. To commemorate all men and women, both services and civilians, who lived, served and died in East Kent, frontline Britain, 39 to 45. Oh, erected 1994. By Countess Mountbatten. Shows you how much I know and keep abreast of everything, because I've never seen it before, and I've been here so many times. Look at the mist. So what we've got here, presented to the town of Dover by the British Legion, a section of armoured plating dismantled by one of the German long-range guns at Sandgate. I'm not seeing the section of gun. Es flogen gegen England. It flew against England. With or containing. Oh, so actually, how many bombs? I guess. Well, they seem to be dates. 4 dates. 1, 3, 2, 1. Do you think that has to do with the 84 rounds recorded form part of the 2,226 shells fired from these batteries at the harbour and town of Dover during the period of 40 to 44. I don't get that. Fired from these batteries. Are they talking about the batteries out at Calais that were fired over here? 2,226 shells fired at Dover. So it actually begs the question, if there are gaps in some of these buildings, would they have been destroyed by bombs? You know, they used to have these kind of buildings all the way along there. I'm crossing the road because I want to just show you something. Here we've got Chief Petty Officer Herbert Barney Barnes bringing the Olympic torch ashore at Dover for the 1948 Games, Wellington Crescent. So actually along this very road here. Fascinating. I just wanted to show you this because if you've ever gone down to Cornwall, you know, kind of Newquay and all of that area, I forget the name of the place, but you've got Rick Stein, haven't you? The famous chef who's got, I want to say 2, I don't know if it's just 1, but he's got the fish restaurant, and it's very, you know, very fine dining and quite pricey as well, by all accounts. Anyway, we've got our own here. Have you heard of Marco Pierre White? I have a vision of him. I'll put him on screen here. Was he a chef, and is he a chef? But look, we've got Marco Pierre White's fish and chips. So Wheeler's was established in 1856, but Marco Pierre White now has a fish and chip shop. That makes me laugh. You know, Rick Stein with his very posh, you know, sea fish, shellfish, and Marco Pierre White's got a chip shop. I know a guy who works down the chip shop, swears he's Elvis, but in this case he's not Elvis, he's Marco Pierre White. Yeah, that used to be the Best Western. Oh, it still is a Best Western, the premier Best Western. So this is where the guy ran with the Olympic torch all the way down here.
Jessica, yeah.
A cab driver for Jessica. As I said at the beginning, I'm only using the onboard mic for this. I think it's working. It generally only works well when there's very little wind, and I think it's very little windy today. Anyway, we continue along. It's a bit of offloading of boats and jet skis down here. I think that's the ramp on that side. Well, both of them are the ramps, but is he going to reverse it down? I might speed this up just to capture the footage. I think that'll do. Unless there's carnage, I might come back and watch. The guy can't seem to manage how to do it. What have we got here? This is obviously something dedicated to channel swimmers. What do you reckon? They usually start here in the Port of Dover. There's no information plaque, just the two statues. But we also have this here. Can you identify the three characters? I think two of them are obvious. The first time I saw this guy, I thought it was a yob. But it's not a yob. So who's this? Yes, Ian Fleming with his silencer on his gun. HRH, Queen Elizabeth II. I almost feel I ought to bow. And I do believe this is an Olympian carrying the torch. Because if you look here, this would represent the 5 hoops of the Olympics. So, nice bit of art. You feel like it should belong in Dover. Do love this. It has a continental feel about it. A little lady selling her coffees and cakes, and I saw her putting her tables and chairs out. Everyone loves a coffee, don't they? But I'm going to save myself. I have intentions of grabbing something when I get to the top of the White Cliffs, because that's where we're going. Started at the marina, heading to the White Cliffs. So we get to see a bit of the old Dover as well, East Cliff in particular, which I want to go down. So let's do that. Success, he made it. The car isn't in, but yeah, the boat's about to go in. It's like a meaty bit of kit, doesn't it? Eagle 6.7. Oh, that would be lovely to cruise around in the harbour. Ice cream! Do you think that Melanie chick is there? Do you remember those adverts? The guy running across the desert and there's an ice cream van. And Melanie, I forget her surname. Do you want a flake in that, love? She says with her northern accent.
Do you want a flake in that, love?
If there's a Melanie in there, I will have a 99. Oh, there's nobody in it. Missing a trick there. People here would love an ice cream. Foghorn. I don't see any ferries. Well, obviously I can't because it's foggy, but you would still see the outline of them. What have we got here? Cockles, whelks, mussels, prawns, crayfish. Sue's Seafood. Right, a quick cross of the road. So I want to show you a couple of statues on the other side of the road here. You take your life in your own hands. But there are no pedestrian walkways here, so I have to walk across myself. Is it Rolls or is it Royce? I think it might be Royce. Let's have a look. It is in fact Charles Stuart Rolls. And why would you think Rolls of Rolls-Royce fame would have a statue here? Well, it's quite simple. Because Charles Stuart Rolls, the first man to cross the Channel and return in a single flight, June the 2nd, 1910. He wanted to be the first to go from here to there and back again, but he wasn't the first to actually cross the Channel. That accolade falls to Louis Blériot. Now we have the Blériot monument just the other side of the castle, which I'm not going to do today, but just up here is a link to a video that I did about Louis Blériot. Fascinating bit of history. I almost said fascinating video then, but that would be blowing my own trumpet, wouldn't it? But yeah, the link's up here. I did a video and then ended the video down here because Louis Blériot was acknowledged by Charles Rolls, you know, so he didn't claim I did it first. He acknowledged that Louis Blériot did it first. Those magnificent men in their flying machines. I think he died a year or two later at an air show in his Wright brothers Kittiwake aeroplane. Wings collapsed, perished. Some more statues here. This video commemorates the merchant seamen who lost their lives during World War II. So obviously we think of the ships that came from America to England and sailed across the Atlantic, and so many were sunk by the German U-boats, weren't they? You know, we've got all the Poppy Day and everything like that, but I think that's quite fitting because what it does, it helps us to remember, if nothing else, the sacrifice that they all made to, you know, provide for freedom. I like this, the flowers, are they pansies? Let me know in the comment. What flag is that? I know because I lived there. This plaque honours the men of the Royal Norwegian Navy who operated from Dover between 40 and 45. Ha det bra, you Norwegians. Very stellar folk. I loved living in Norway. I think I recognise that name. Captain Matthew Webb. Was he the first man to swim across? Born Dawley, 1848, died Niagara, 1883, swam from Dover to Calais, August the 24th to the 25th, 1875. Erected by public subscription. I do think in my mind that Captain Webb was the first man to swim the Channel. Didn't he then have a life of celebrity status? I think he was trying to cross the Niagara Falls in a barrel or something and perished. Chasing the celebrity dream. Don't do it, Webby. And so we come to the end of the Marine Terrace with the Premier Inn. I've eaten in there. The food isn't bad, to be quite honest, especially when you consider its usual chain restaurant food, but it's always a good quantity. A remnant from Victorian era. Let's cross the road here just to get a good view of it. Isn't that lovely? Just what you need after a long walk along the marine pier. Coffee or an ice cream. Nice little business going on here. However, I shall not be tempted. I am feeling parched, but I have a goal, so that's what I want. We have got the White Cliffs of Dover, but above there is Dover Castle. So you've got the lookout post, you've got the war rooms just here. So they've got some lookout windows, all inside the tunnels. Fascinating. That's the gift shop when you come out of the war tunnels. and you can see remnants of brick wall up there as well. So the whole thing was a battlement. Amazing. I've done 1 or 2 videos in Dover Castle. I can never go inside the war tunnels though, because you're not allowed to do photography. So while I can go in, I am allowed to go in. And it is fascinating. I can't show it to any viewers, which is such a shame. We've got these old Victorian lampposts. This one hasn't got a light on it, but that one there. And I'm thinking to myself, are they original? Or have they actually just been, you know, a modern take, but aged? So now we have to cross the busy road. We can do it. I was going to go by myself, but yeah, it changed. I don't need to press the button on this side. Nothing coming. Right, I've got 2 options here. I can walk down Marine Parade, also known as East Cliff, which is there, or I can actually walk down East Cliff leading to Athol Terrace. And I think I want to do this because this is old Dover. This is the side of Dover you don't normally see, isn't it? Old little back streets. Very quaint, with the old buildings, the cliff in the background, and the old street lamps. They just look old, don't they? There's a bit of modernisation going on, but look at them. I've seen those things before, trying to make the house look good. I wonder what period these are from. Are they Victorian? 1800s, definitely. The houses here precariously situated under the White Cliffs, and I've seen cliff foliage from Samphire Hoe all the way over to St Margaret's Bay. You often see it, and I just think, how close are these houses? People have got their back gardens, look. All pretty and lovely, fencing going all the way up to the end, but it only takes some kind of weird rainy day and those cliffs are coming down on those houses. Look, you can see the war rooms up the top. I don't think this would be out of place in London. Single glazed windows, must be freezing. That would have been an elegant house once. Maybe this is the back of the elegant house. I'm walking up the little side street. People do try. You have to admire them for it. This would have been a workshop in its day. You could imagine people fixing old cars and repairing things. I'm not sure I would want to live that close. You know, you're in bed asleep and you hear a little rumble. Guess what? It's all coming down. But very pleasant. Look, they've got a pub here. The first and last. The last pub in the civilized world. And yet, St Margaret's Bay, the Coast Guard, claims to be the closest pub to Europe. They've got Cap Crisnez, 20.7 miles, and we've got just up here, they've got the Coast Guard, so who lays claim? That's what I want to know. Which is the closest to Gay Paris? That might be one gull, but it's echoing across all the buildings. Coming to the end now, all these beautiful little cottages, all coloured and painted. So that was East Terrace, kind of off the main road because you've got all the traffic and everything. It's not particularly nice to walk along. But my whole purpose was to walk from the Marine Parade and the Marina all the way up to the White Cliffs. And I think I've done it. I'm not at them yet. I've got to now walk up Dame Vera Lynn Way. Look, we come out at the roundabout, which goes up Jubilee Way. Let us continue. I always find it fascinating standing either at the top or just here watching the hubbub Is that what you call it? Hubbub? Hubbub. The bustle. Hustle and bustle. Maybe that's it. Hub, hustle, bub, bustle. Whenever there's a press conference going on, there's some activity happening here. Ports are on strike. People are, you know, placards. You'll have the press standing right here. Everything is going fine in Dover. No need to worry. Now I have to go. I don't know if I can show you here. I've got to walk along this path. It goes up under the Jubilee Way and then it disappears up the hill. There may be some panting and perspiration. So what I'm going to do, like I did at the other place, I'm going to capture snippets of footage and put it together with music until I'm at the very top. Then we'll do a little bit of a walk back along the curb before getting ourselves that coffee I've promised myself. So here we go. What an adventure. I'm not so much out of breath now because I've taken the time to catch my breath. Hopefully that kind of 4 or 5 second soundbite montage works. I won't know as I'm recording it, but I'll know after I've finished it. So just going to walk along here a little bit in the shade because it is warm today, and I think there's a coffee and potentially a cake. It's a shame because I've walked all this way, I've burnt 3 calories and by having a piece of cake I'm putting another 300 calories on. Hey, you only live once, right? So I'm going to make the most of it. I think this little footpath comes out at the cafe. Just the ticket. And you're probably thinking, Tude, you're crazy. You've walked all the way up here. Now you've got to walk back to get your car. But no, forward planning, you see, because there's my car. I actually started here, followed the trail all the way to the end, and then I walked back. Because I knew, had I walked all the way up here, I would not have been inspired to want to walk all the way back, so I did it backwards. And I left my mobile phone at home. Don't you feel naked without it, you know? It's all your monetary stuff and all your social media. Irish Ferry, DFDS. There's a cruise liner, you can just see it in the mist. I never saw it at all this morning. Isn't that bizarre? They call it a cloud inversion. It's what it looks like when you're in an aeroplane looking down. Never seen it like this at the Port of Dover. I've seen it completely shrouded, but never like this. So I'm glad I've captured it on film. Just through here then is the final leg. I think I may have had success with this GoPro with its external mic, because I think it's picked up my voice quite admirably, for want of a better word. Anyway, we go up here through this mystical, magical lane, which still has autumn leaves on it. Worms have not been pulling them in. Up through this final gate. Oh, more steps. Spoke too soon. The last leg up these stairs. And there it is. Coffee and cake is waiting. Let's go in, see what they're offering. There's a bit of a queue, but I don't mind, because it'll go quickly. Choices, choices, choices. Cream tea with the fruit scone, please. Lovely. And a pot of tea.
You're a strawberry raspberry blackcurrant jam.
Blackcurrant would be nice. Go different.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
I think you left your milk. So.
Oh, did I?
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
I think I've got to sit outside. What do you think? Oh, look at that. The mist is clearing. You can see the cruise liner now. It's all happened all of a sudden. Well, I've broken with my own tradition. I've had this idea of a coffee all along, all the trip, and now I'm going for a cup of tea. An English tea with a fruit scone. Now watch this. A little bit of a stir, get the palate ready. Oh, spillage. Oh, look at the colour of that, it's wonderful. And a splash of milk, not too much. There we go. That's going to taste great. Now I have to deal with this bit of Cornish cream. I've gone for the black currant. I don't know why, but when he mentioned it, I thought, you know what? That might be just the ticket. Da, da, da. Now what are we going to do? Cream and jam? Or jam and cream? It won't sit there. It's the never-ending or never-answered question. I think it's all to do with the border of Cornwall and Devon. In as much as one county always does the cream first and adds the jam on top. And that's what you would do if you had a Victoria sponge. You would put the cream on the bottom and the jam on top. But some people put the jam on first and then add the cream? It doesn't make sense to me. But to appease the gods and the viewers, watch this. I don't know how far the video got because the GoPro battery has just died on me. So I'm using my Sony CyberShot just to capture this last bit. Which do you think looks the most appealing? I've done this for you. You are either a cream and jam person, or you were a, sorry, cream and jam, or jam and cream. That is actually jam first with cream. I know which one I prefer. And I will leave you to put comments below as to what your choice is. So that was it. That was my walk from the marina, Dover Marina, all the way through to the Port of Dover, Marine Parade, up the White Cliffs, and finally here. And I'm filming this with my Sony CyberShot, so there's probably a dust spot on it, but hey ho, you don't care. You just want to follow my adventures, don't you? The ferry's going out. I'm going to enjoy a cup of tea and my scone. It's going to be delicious. Thanks so much for tagging along on my walk. If you want to see me do more of these walks, just let me know. Otherwise it'll be back to a castle here and there or something weird. Tudor Travels. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye for now.